And if I say remove background, it's going to do a pretty good job on this one. Um, and again, I need to, my pin of my pin bar position didn't stick. I've got a really small window here. I want to make it fit the screen bigger. I could get over here. There's a zoom tool. I never use this one because I would just use the space bar plus the command key or space bar plus the control key. And that gives me the zoom tool where I can click and drag. It's called scrubby zoom in the world of Photoshop. Or I can hit Command 0, Control 0 on a PC, which would be I could go to View and then say fit on screen, which is right here, Command 0. You'll see that. It'll fit it totally fine. But I don't want I don't want these partial, and you can see the mask is not super fantastic in this regard. Look, it's got a little section of black there, but also I don't want this little section. It didn't do a good job masking that. And so I'm going to edit this mask. So I could do that with the brush tool and paint black. So I'll make a smaller brush. I've got to make sure I'm on this layer mask, and I'm just going to come in and get rid of that extra stuff there. I'm just painting on that mask. I don't want that stuff. That's going to be better. And then also at the bottom here, there's some partial leaves, and I don't want partial leaves. So this one here is a partial leaf or a flower petal, and so is this. So I want to get rid of those. I only want full ones. And so I could come in and I could, I'll do the edge area there with a smaller brush, and then I'll hold space bar, which is the hand tool. That's going to let me move in and out around. And there, that's going to be the edge. So I'm using a smaller brush for the edge. And then, oops, what happens if I do that? Well, Command Z will work. Or I'll hit X and get a white brush and say, okay, I can brush that back. In this case, I'm just going to undo that. And so I'm painting black again. So I'll get just a full petal here. And I don't need this. Got some gray here I don't like. I'll brush that off a little bit. So this is why you got to learn the old-fashioned way of really, which is it's funny to say old-fashioned, but it's not that old-fashioned. I mean, we used to mask before computers with film, and we would use X-Acto knives to trim. But the old-fashioned Photoshop way, if you're just relying on those auto techniques, you're not going to be able to. It only works in the most optimal settings. If you have very good contrast, most of the time you're not going to have that. So, and Photoshop won't know that you don't want these areas here, and so you got to be able to think at that point, and Photoshop's not going to do that thinking for you. And so that's why we need to learn not just the auto generative stuff in Photoshop. And that's why, you want to use that stuff later on, knock yourself out, but not in my class, because otherwise you won't be able to troubleshoot, you won't be able to fix a problem. And you might be going, well, I just that may not be your needs in what you plan to do with Photoshop. And that's fine once you get out of my class. But when we're in my class, we're going to learn the correct techniques. Another thing, so I made a bigger brush. I could also get the lasso tool, and I could say I'm just going to encircle an area here. And these are called marching ants here. If you zoom in, you would see that they move in what appears to be a a clockwise motion. And then I can just fill it with black in this case. Well, I'll do it again on this area. And just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm on Option click. And when I'm masking, I'm usually not doing in this black and white mode. I'm only doing that so you can see what I do, but I'm going to tell it to fill black now. As I do that, so you can see I've got a good mask. And so again, up here, I've got a partial flower I don't want. And so I'll do this one this time with just the brush. I'm sorry, not the brush, with the lasso tool. And I'm going to come in here on the mask. The mask is selected. How do I know the mask is selected? It's got a white outline around it. I'll tell that to fill black there. And then one last one, I don't want this petal. And so I'm going to, this time I'll get the quick selection tool. I need to get on my actual image. I need a smaller brush. And look, I just clicked on it and it did a pretty good job of selecting that area. I missed a little bit at the top, so I held the shift key and selected it more. Now, there we go. And here's something that's a telltale problem from a selection, that it gave me a little residue there. And so what I need to do, you can see in outline mode, it's this gray area here. And so I need to brush that to black. And I'm pretty happy with my I moved my oh, I see I moved stuff out of here I didn't want to move out of here. So I will come back in, B for brush. I'm going to get rid of, I just made a mistake. Make sure I'm on the mask. I'm going to brush that area out. And then I had cut some stuff out of here because I had actually made a mistake, that I had moved my image. And so I thought I was on the edge of the image. I wasn't. Okay, so I painted that stuff back in by painting white on the brush, on the mask. So there we go. I've got a pretty good mask here. And so for this technique, for this assignment, I've masked my image, and then to the assignment, it says select the mask, the full flower, remove the background. So I've done that right here. The background's removed because I have a layer mask. So I don't want that green stuff. I just want the flower. Okay. Next instruction is select an individual flower petal. We're going to use that with the quick selection tool. It's right here. This is the toolbar, quick selection tool. I'll select this flower petal. And then with an active selection, and so active selection means I have those marching ants, use an adjustment layer at the bottom of the layer panel to edit the selected petal. And so what I'm going to do is so we're going to get into some fun Photoshop stuff now. We're going to start editing a photo, changing the image's color. And so here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to go, oh, I want to edit it. I would go up to edit. And again, this is not what we're doing. Transform, or let's see. I guess it's image that I want, not edit. So I'll go to image adjustments, and I can say, okay, I want to change the hue of that. I'll click hue and saturation, and I'll color, and oh, it's changing everything. And so that's kind of cool. I had lost my selection. That's why it changed everything. So I'm going to go back and select this one petal. And it's important to be on the flower thumbnail here. If I click, I'm going to unselect that. Deselect is Command or Control D. If I'm on the actual layer mask and I try to click that, it may want to just select the mask area here. But I've got that selected here. So again, image, adjustments, and I'll say, okay, I'll go to posterize here and click OK. I'm on my mask. Try again. Edit. Try again. Image, adjustments, and also I want it to be black and white. Okay, so it made one petal black and white. I click OK. Well, here's a problem. That's destructive editing. And what's Mr. Dennis's number one rule of Photoshop? Don't lose data. I just lost all the color data. Ooh, undo, Command Z. Also up here, there's a history palette. And you see right here, I did posterize quick selection. I'm going to go back to that quick selection. And I'm going to do a non-destructive technique. So in the layers panel right here, also you can see in the properties panel right here, there's adjustments as well. And so we could do it either place, but I'm going to go first to, I've got the mask guy here I did, and then there's a new adjustment layer here right next to it. It's a circle kind of divided in half. And so I'll go black and white here. Look, same thing, looks like, right? Answer, no, it's not the same thing. Because look at my layer panel, it made a adjustment layer. And so that adjustment layer has a mask and it has a hue saturation adjustment layer. And so, and the key thing is it has this little eyeball here, this toggles visibility. So look, I turn that adjustment layer off, just not deleted the color. I turn it on, it's black and white. And so that's an adjustment layer. And so adjustment layers, back to here, adjustment layers equal non-destructive editing. And so that's our second technique. Layer mask equal non-destructive editing, and adjustment layers equal non-destructive editing. And so that's two ways we're going to do editing an image non-destructively, non-destructive editing. Layer mask to get rid of stuff we don't want, but we don't want to throw it away. We just want to hide it, and adjustment layers. So I'll do a couple more adjustment layers and I'm going to move on. And so then I would go with my quick selection tool, W, I'd select the next one here. I could come over here to adjustments here, and I could click on one of, you know, one of the settings and see if it's going to do anything that I like. But these are kind of baby minor settings, not doing as much as I want. So I'm just going to go to these adjustments here. Here's a fun one, gradient map. I'll try that. Right now it's doing a black and white gradient. I've got to go to the settings in the properties panel, and I'll say, well, I'm going to look at oranges here. And maybe I'll go to blues because they're going to be a more different color. There we go. So that's a lot different. And so I've got an adjustment layer right here, gradient map. And oh, look, I got some of this next flower on that one I didn't want. So I'll get the brush and I'll just brush that area out on that petal. Okay. And so what you're going to do on this assignment with the quick selection tool, you'll select every one of these patterns and you'll do an adjustment. I'm going to do a solid color for this one. And well, that's not going to be too exciting. The solid color it's going to do is whatever your color is here. And so I want to pick a different color first. I'm going to double click on this black here and I'll say I want green. Okay. Well, I can always change that, but I've got this marching ants here. It's selected, and I'll do solid color, and it's just going to do green. But if I wanted to pick a different color, I could click around here or move this and do a different color. So decide that's the color I want, but that's not super exciting. Maybe I want to take the opacity right here down a little bit so I can see a little bit of the flower through it, some of that texture. So that's fun. There's opacity. I could also change the blending mode, and that's the last thing I'm going to talk about editing today. See, as I change it to say like multiply blending mode. And so that's, how does this green interact with the color underneath it? So that's pretty cool. So you're going to do every single one of these petals, and then you're going to select all of these adjustment layers, and you will put them in a folder called adjustments. And then also what you're going to do, you're going to select the adjustments and your flower. Oh, and then here's the thing I'm really adamant about. You see this is named layer 0. That's not acceptable. How do I interpret that? Mr. Dennis interprets that as please remove points. That's not a good thing to name your layer. Why would we want to lose points? Well, we don't, but not naming a layer is a guaranteed way for me to take points away from you. If you're not naming your layers, you're not using good file organization, you're turning over a messy file. So what's a good name for this flower layer? How about flower? Oh yeah, that's a good name. Okay, so I'm going to put both of those in a layer group. So I've selected them both. Down here at the bottom, you see this folder. It's called a layer group or new group. And I'll call this flower again. Okay, so we're going to put that flower in. I'm going to go to File, Open now. Command O. And in the downloads, I've got selection mask, art source. I had the Moab, Utah desert. I'm going to open that desert and I'll call it Moab. And I'm going to, and it's really small. Remember, view, fit in window, command or control 0. There we go. And I want to take that flower here. I'm going to grab this whole group. I'm going to go up to Moab Desert and pull it down. And look, all that color showed up. And here's the adjustments. Here's a thing I like to do too. I like to color my layers groups. I can select a layer group here, and I can right click on it and tell it to be a different color if I want to. And so everything that's in that layer group has a color. So that's handy when you have multiple stuff. And so now I can, with my move tool, V, I can move this flower wherever I want. And so we're going to adjust that. And let's go back to the assignment here. I'm not going to demo the whole thing. I put a British flag on this one. I think I gave you an American flag on the piece. And there's our teddy bear from our earlier assignment. I threw him in there as well. He was already masked. I just masked out this other part. And then you can see on the background, I kind of intensified the color of the desert here. Let's a little more brown. I can turn this layer off. And let's say I wanted to do that. I'll hit W, which is the quick selection tool. And I'm on the wrong layer. Look, it was selecting stuff that wasn't dead. Command D. I need to get on Moab here. And see, as I click, I'm getting a much better selection. And I'll just get all of this stuff here. I also want to get the background here. There. So that's missing a little bit of the mountain here. See that? So I'll zoom in a little bit so I can get a little bit better selection. That's much better. Missing a little piece here because the contrast isn't super good there. It's a real light contrast. And that's pretty good selection for what I'm doing now. And so if I wanted to intensify just that area, again, I could go to curves or levels, or I could go to hue saturation. It's going to be a really good one. And you see the mask here, it's only going to affect this area. The black area won't be affected. And then so in hue saturation, I've got hue. That's going to change the color. I just want to pump the saturation up a little bit. Ooh, look what I did. Excuse me, how much brighter it is. That's fun. And then I decided, oh, I want the background sky to be black and white. Well, that's going to be easy. Look, I already have this selection here. And so from this mountain, from this mask here, I just held Command or Control if I'm on a PC and clicked on that mask, and it's got marching ants for that. Now I'm going to go to Select, Inverse, right here, Shift Command I, and now I've got the sky selected. So then I could say, oh, I think I want to go adjustment layers, black and white. Cool. I got a black and white sky and a super saturated background. And then I've got this mask and I could put, so doing some fun stuff with color. But here's the neat thing about this. Every single thing I've done is non-destructive. I can turn these layers off. I'm back to my regular thing. I can turn my adjustments off. I'm back to the regular thing. I can turn my mask off. I'm back. So I've lost nothing. So the litmus test, is this destructive editing or not? Can I turn it off, turn it on? And if I can't turn it off or turn it back on, then it's destructive editing. So we want to always use non-destructive editing. We